name is Joanna from Stretch for Strength, and today we'll be working on the core 4. This will include an assessment as well as a warm-up and 4 stretches that will focus on muscles that attach to the hip complex that are vital to your hip health. So we will begin with our assessment / warm-up. I call it assessment and a warm-up because you can begin with it, but also recheck your progress in between each stretch if you would like with this move. So we'll start with our hands behind us in a comfortable position. Try not to be too upright because then you'll block your hips. So just a comfortable position. You don't have to hold your core or anything. And your knees slightly outside your hips if necessary and bent at about a 90-degree angle. I'll say maybe or about or somewhat around here because this is all customizable for you. My position will probably not look like yours, and that's totally fine. So you want to think of this part as your knees to the ceiling equaling an inhale. So this will be an inhale, and then I exhale and drop my knees to one side. And the same thing, I recycle, inhale, and exhale, drop my knees to the other side. And I'm looking to see if there's any asymmetries that are calling to me. Slight asymmetry is fine. Excessive asymmetry is not. That's where we start to get any injuries or compensation patterns. So we want to make sure that we are looking diligently for something that just doesn't move. So for example, if your knee is stuck here and no matter what you do, you can't get it down, what you can do is begin by doing a couple reps on just that side and then rechecking and seeing if just breathing into your stretch helped you. So you'll inhale through your nose, exhale down, and do this about 3 times. And then you'll recheck and see if it got any better. If it didn't, that's totally fine. That's why we have stretches, but you'll sometimes notice improvements in just doing that, and that might be all you need for the day. So, or at least for this point in time. So, we'll begin by just putting one leg forward. You can pick whatever leg you want, but make sure whatever knee is forward, that foot is attached to the back quad to start. Now, it doesn't have to be that way the entire time. I just want you to see if this position will work for you overall. If not, totally fine for it to float out here or for the back leg to straighten. Once again, your level of comfort is the most important thing here. So we will begin by putting our hands either here or away, either evenly placed on each side of the knee or slightly away from the knee. But I'm going to start here. I'm going to inhale and get nice and tall, and then I'm going to exhale and go down with as straight a back as possible. So I'll show you from the side. So inhale and exhale and go down. I like to use my hands pushing into the ground and giving me that slight resistance instead of just going down. I'm pulling against the ground in order to create that movement. And once I find the very first point of resistance, it doesn't have to be a drastic stretch. I don't want it to be. I want it to be the very first pull you feel because then you're taking up the slack in the fascia. Think of your clothing where when you pull and the slack is taken up, that's what you're doing. If you do too much, you'll overstretch it. So I want you to go to that very first point. And then once you find it, inhale up and exhale down. You should look like a wave the entire time you're doing any of these stretches. And you can start to go side to side and oscillate as well. And find the spot, once again, that's the tightest. If you find a spot, hang out there and do a couple breaths and recheck. Now, you went down with the straight back, so we're going to come out of the stretch a slightly different way than you came in. The one I like to do the best is roll my back. So I'll tuck my chin to my chest and roll my back all the way up, letting my head be the very last thing to come up. Now, when you do that, we make sure that we come out of the stretch a slightly different way than we came in, so we don't recontract what we just stretched, which might result in a loss of your flexibility gains that you've been working on, and we don't want that. So after we do that one, we're going to go into QL. QL is more of a stabilizing muscle and it often gets overlooked, so we're going to make sure it gets some attention. So we're going to walk our hands to the outside of our front knee. I'll scoot back a little bit more. And this twist is your stretch. So you want to make sure you keep in mind that any stretch you do, especially this one, that you exhale into the stretch. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you have to hold your breath, and that's not what we want. We want to make sure that our whole body is nice and calm, and holding your breath is the least calm thing you can do. So we're going to inhale and come out of our twist, then exhale and go into the twist. You'll notice I use my eyes. I want you to use your eyes to initiate the movement because it often goes a little bit further than we think we can. Play with the angle of up or down. Some people find more success with going down, and that's totally fine. But like I said before, you should look like a wave. So I'm coming in and out. And if I need to stay in one place and let it melt, I'll do a slight oscillation while I'm breathing. But I'm not holding it. I'm not purposely thinking, okay, I have to hold this for 30 seconds. I'm just moving through. Movement is medicine. Okay, so that's your QL. Then what we'll do is we'll drop our elbow down. And our focus is going to be hip flexors, but we're stretching the deep front net, which goes from your chin all the way down to the front of your foot. So if you feel this in a slightly different place than hip flexors, or more places than just hip flexors, that's totally fine because we're stretching the entire net. Okay, so we're going to begin by putting that net on slack. So we're going to tuck our chin into our chest and inhale. And then exhale and use your eyes once again to look away to initiate that stretch. I usually like to look at a diagonal angle, but just look wherever you can. Put tissue on slack, exhale, and stretch. Now, if you start to feel a spasm kind of in your quad, just straighten your knee. You might just be doing too much, okay? And we could come out of each stretch we're doing, but we're trying to make it more of a flow, so we're just gonna go into each one. So that was hip flexor. The very last one is lat. The lat is actually an upper body muscle, but it attaches to your hip, so it's still a very important muscle for hip health. So we are going to start by stabilizing this bottom arm and inhaling and reaching up to the ceiling, exhaling, and creating a nice large swim pattern. Once again, using your eyes to follow your hand and initiate the movement. And recycle, inhale, stabilize that bottom arm, and exhale, reach up and over. Keep reaching as far as you can, and you can even turn your thumb more facing the ceiling at the end to really get that lat. And we'll come out, do it one more time. And then we're going to come out of the stretch a slightly different way than we came in. So we'll come down and come back up. And once again, we can use this to recheck and see if we made the improvements we were looking for. If you feel symmetrical, fantastic. Then you can go about your day. If you don't, then go ahead and do the other side and pay attention to the areas that you feel are the most snagged. Now, when you feel an asymmetry, I don't want you to go immediately to the side that has those asymmetries that are really prominent. You want to go to the side that doesn't have them first, so that you know how it feels and you don't overstretch the side that needs more work. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Happy stretching.